Jason Suarez, the one and only owner of DaBestBulls and DaBestBulls Ranch. Now we're on to episode 2. We're gonna go over more of, obviously the progression of how our kennel is going, more of the dogs, and teaching you guys a couple things and the reasons why we do it, everything the way we do. We've been building the kennel to a crazy standard, way overbuilding it for a couple of reasons. One, obviously for strength and durability. These dogs, can be hard, and then 2, doing certain things and making it out of, for example, concrete instead of wood kennels, because it's going to be a lot more waterproof and hardy and better for the long run. So episode 2, we're definitely going to get more into that, showing you those things and more of the dogs, and keeping it entertaining, keeping it fun, and also keeping you guys learn about how we take care of the dogs. So first of all, being a mini bulldog ranch owner and raising bulldogs, it's a 24/7 job. I can't stress to you enough about that. It's a never-ending job. I love it, but you just have to understand that that's what it is. So with the kennel, we had the 50 by 30 steel building. Obviously a very strong structure, but to make it an even stronger structure, and then on top of that, insulate it, we went with a closed cell foaming insulation, which was a little bit expensive, actually very expensive. I think it was about $10,000 to do, but it's gonna make it so the building can regulate heat and cool better, and stay cooler when we need it and stay hotter when we need it. So we went and invested in that. All right, so we have the back being poured out, the foundation, the slab's gonna be poured here. We have a 14-foot space. Now, we have 13 kennels on the back side for the dogs, and they're gonna have, obviously their doggy doors and everything, so they can go in and out. And they're gonna be separated. They're already separated inside. The spacing in the inside is a 4x4 inside space for AC, heat, everything, where they go in. Their bed's gonna be in there. And then the outside is going to be a 4x9 spacing for they're going to have actually a grass turf area from the pee and poop, and they can be outside, getting fresh air, and they go inside whenever they want. So they'll always have that access. Now, the pad is extremely important. It's crucial, because it's going to, if this pad's messed up, the whole system is wrong. Because now the pad we have, it's going to be a standard 6-inch pad with 12-inch footers, but it's going to have a 2-inch drop, so it's going to be 2 inches higher at the base than it is at the bottom, and that's going to allow for the drainage. And it's going to have a 2-inch drop, so everything flows down. And at the base, right before we have the concrete wall, at the base is going to be a slide drain. It's going to be a 4-inch half-circle slide drain that now drops all the way down to over down there, and we have a 500-gallon sewage tank going there. This will be the pad. We'll be walking this will be our alleyway with the dog kennels here, with a 42-inch foot wall right here. Then it wraps around, and we have the same setup going on over here. The same pad idea, sloping down, the same drain, the same everything. Cages are being made right now currently in Portugal. They're solid steel cages, and when they come, this is gonna be super nice. We'll show them off. They're designed a specific way to keep the dogs safe, to allow drainage, and to make it so the dogs can't get to each other and sort of be a problem. So it's very, very good. If you guys have any questions on why we're doing certain things, just let us know. And the morning routine, so there's a couple options. One, I either get up and I go straight to the dogs, or 2, my daughter's already awake in bed, and I pick her up and I go put her in a stroller, and then I go to the dogs. So it's either just me doing the morning dog routine where we feed them, or it's my daughter is my assistant. She's normally pretty good. She'll just sit there and eat we give her a pop that we fill with fruit, and she sucks on that. So it works out really well for us that she loves the dogs too. So if we bring her in the kennel, she likes to see the dogs and stuff. So she'll normally sit there. So for the bulldog nutrition, bulldogs, in my opinion, and not really in my opinion, it's just a known fact that bulldogs are one of the most allergenic dogs there is, and sensitive with food. And on top of that, they are also one of the furthest dogs away from, obviously, like where they're descended from wolves as you can get. And I mean by that is because bulldogs are going to need a special diet, other than like different from like, you know, a Chihuahua, which I feel is a little bit better, more functional of a breed in some aspects and better at digesting things. But bulldogs, in my opinion, and most people's opinion, when they eat certain things, they break out. They get the toe blisters, they get rashes, they get their hair falling out, they all kinds of things. So they're a very sensitive breed when it comes to food. And some aren't, and some are, but as a whole, majority are more than the normal dog breed. I'm extremely scientific when it comes to my dogs eating and their nutrition. I focus on making sure, obviously, I read all the ingredients that goes into their food. We feed them 3 different types of foods mixed together, plus their wet food, so 4, and then plus we give them their vitamins in the morning. And this is all the stuff they get in the morning. So these are the 2 ingredients. We use Glycoflex, which I give to all the dogs, good for their joints. It's also very, very good for the reproductive systems for the male. I use the multivitamin, V3 Science. You can get both of these online. I get them from Chewy. I'm sure you can get other places. Now, when I give these vitamins, I actually emulsify them already because some dogs are picky, so I just break them up and then I mix that in the dog's food, so it guarantees that they eat all the vitamins because you can't eat the food without eating the vitamins. And then I mix, of course, the wet food in there with it, the American Journey Duck Limited Ingredients wet food, and I mix it in there because so they don't have to taste the vitamins. And then with the studs, they also get Oxy Stud. I didn't really believe in this stuff at first, but after using it, it works really well. It improves the quality of the semen. And again, I break this up, I squeeze it and break it up, and then it makes it so the dogs can't be picky. Because depending on the dog, some dogs are very picky, some dogs are not. Honestly, in my opinion, I go overboard on their food, but it just makes me feel comfortable, and I'm very OCD, and like I've said, I'm a perfectionist, so I have some reasons why I do that. And the reasons why I do the 3 different foods are 1, because nutritional things, all 3 foods hit the nutritional things I want, and 2, there's just so many back orders and recalls on every single dog food that I just use 3 of the top ones that I like personally, because just in case one of them had a recall, I feel more comfortable knowing that my dogs weren't just solely eating that brand and they were eating the other 2, which would sort of even out the problem. It's just a OCD thing. Honestly, either one of the 3 brands that I feed the dogs is sufficient, but I go overboard like I do on everything. You guys see we have the different foods here, and I take the foods and I mix them. Like I said, I mix them. I mix a 1-to-1 ratio of Acana and Origin, or the 2 Acanas, with the Victor. And I put them in these big bins. These bins are awesome. Again, you get these like on Chewy. They're like airtight bins that make it good so no rodents or stuff get into your stuff. Keep the food fresh. And then I mix it into this thing right here. And this thing, I mix it and I shake it up. And then we have all the food in there mixed how I want it mixed. We have a whole kitchen being made, and then we're gonna have everything super organized, and I'll show that off when the kitchen's done. But right now we're doing this ghetto or whatever, because we're just, everything's getting built. The morning routine, as far as the feeding goes, is a lot more intricate and a longer process than the nighttime routine, because all the dogs get a mixture of their vitamins and their wet food, and everything gets made up for them. So that's the first thing we're doing in the morning, feeding them. And then we like to let them out. But before we let them out, I like to let them sit after they eat for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Bulldogs, a problem that they have is they're a breed that has a tendency to eat too much and overeat. So that's why we do feed them twice a day. So the first meal isn't so big. And then on top of that, they have a tendency that their stomach can twist, and that's extremely dangerous and can be fatal. So as a precautionary measure, we make sure we don't feed them too much, 1. And we also make sure that after they eat, that they sit for at least 15 minutes, sort of digest it, so they don't get out and over exercise and sort of cause that what's called bloat, where the stomach will twist, or on top of that, either throw up and then they could possibly aspirate. So these are all things that are not super common, but I take all precautionary measures to make it so even if it's a 1% chance of happening, I like to make sure that we take account for the 1%. And then my last tip for food is I mix all together, and then my rule of thumb for an adult dog, a dog that's already grown, my rule of thumb is it's 1/3 of a cup of food total per 10 pounds. So for example, if your dog weighs 30 pounds, your dog should be getting 3/3 of a food, which is 1 full cup. Your dog should be getting 1 full cup throughout the whole day. So we do 2 feeding sessions. And the reason we do 2 feeding sessions is that I don't want to overfeed my dog and cause the stomach bloat, which is very dangerous. So we split their feeding up into 2. And I know some people, I know I'm talking a lot. Guys, I'm talking fast. I always talk fast. So you guys just got to stay with me. But some people like to only feed their dog once. And for some breeds, that's perfectly fine. But for bulldogs, it's not. They need to be fed 2 times because I don't want to risk them getting that stomach bloat and twisting, which bulldogs are prone to. So I break their food up into 2. And 1/3 cup food per 10 pounds for the whole day. Now, if it's a younger dog, a dog you need to see to put on weight, obviously I'm going to give them more. With younger dogs, I give a lot more because they're growing, just like babies and kids. And then also if a dog's underweight, I give them more. That's why I feed every one of my dogs personally with a dish. I don't put a huge trough out because I like to dictate how much food my dog's getting, because 1, I don't want my dog to get overweight because that's bad for the dog, and 2, I definitely don't want my dog to be underweight because it's bad for the dog. So I like to keep my dog, I like to say about 1 or 2 pounds above the weight I think they should be as a safety barrier. So if the dog were to get sick, it would still have a little bit of extra fat on them, because when they get sick, they don't eat. So I'm pretty sure that covers it all as far as the food goes. I know I gave a bunch of tips. If you guys have any questions, you know, you can always ask me. You can comment. You can direct message me. You can email me. All those things work, and I have no problem answering. And if I don't answer everything perfectly, I'll do a whole nother one for you guys, answer and do it again.